I will now call on Alastair Haythornthwaite, the founder and chair of the Joseph Mayer Memorial Committee, a machinist for 30 years with 30 years experience in the Cowichan Valley, and now a business rep for the Machinists Union on the island. Alastair will speak on the topic, 2015 is a federal election year and Labour better pay attention. Join me in welcoming Alastair.
Well, as always, it's really gratifying to see the turnout. I don't want you guys to get spoiled heads, but you're a pretty special audience. It's been apparently 13 years, so there you are. See, if I killed someone, I would have been done 10 years ago and be back out on the street. Now, first of all, before I give my remarks, it's my privilege to thank Eden for all the work she does to get this event together. She starts in November and works for 3 months to get all the disparate parts of this event together, and it's a turnkey for me, and I get to look great, and thank you so much, dear. So yeah, 2015 is a federal election year, and Labour better pay attention. October 19th, 2015 is the official date for the next election, but many expect Prime Minister Harper to call an early spring election. You know, Harper's publicly stated there'll be no early election. You know what they say in China, nothing is confirmed until officially denied. But on the other hand, we're skeptical about that. The fundraising alone clearly points to an advantage to the Tories. Last year, the Tories raised $18 million compared to $11 million for the Liberals and $8 million for the NDP. And there's no reason to think these ratios are going to change. And the federal subsidy to political parties based on their electoral performance ended as of the new year. Last year, the Conservatives got 3.7, the NDP 2.8, and the Liberals 1.8 million based on the number of votes cast. But balancing this, and this is a last-minute addition, the fall in oil prices has now delayed the federal budget, making a spring election less likely. And, of course, the upcoming trial of Senator Duffy is another iceberg Conservative political strategists have to maneuver around. I don't think they want to run right into that one. But whatever the campaign is run on, Labour has much to be wary of with the Conservatives. Bill C-377, a private member's bill to force public disclosure of confidential union financial information, has been resurrected in its original form after its repudiation in the Senate last year. Bill C-4 stripped safety protections from federal workers. And the Conservative government has not shied away from interfering in collective bargaining to the detriment of workers. Ask the employees at Air Canada and Canada Post. And Bill C-10 attacked the machinists and 10 other trade unions at the federal government dockyard. They had gone through a lengthy bargaining process and then had opted for binding arbitration, but then a little over a month after the binding arbitration decision came down with wages, it was canceled retroactively by Bill C-10. And the other federal bargaining units have had wage restraint imposed by C-10. Now, Bill C-377 is a good example of how the Harper government acts behind the scenes. Put forward as a private member's bill by backbencher Russ Hebert, Surrey White Rock, Cloverdale, this legislation was written by Merit Canada, a lobby group for non-union construction companies, the same ones who lobbied successfully to gut the apprenticeship system in BC in 2001. So private members' bills generally die when the session ends, but because of Harper's backing, it is back in front of the Senate for second reading in its original form, even though it was amended by the Senate before the break. The difference? Opposition in the Senate was led by Conservative Hugh Segal, but he is now retired. And Hugh Segal really illustrates how the Harper Conservatives differ from the former Progressive Conservatives. Segal objected to C-377 because it imposed obligations on the labor movement without corresponding obligations on the corporate sector. Siegel is an old-school PC, imbued with tripartism, the alliance of big capital, big labor, and big government. And I mean, whatever the merits and drawbacks of tripartisan and corporatism, its formal name, it is a philosophy of mutual respect. Under tripartism, labor has a seat at the table, if somewhat junior seat, to the other partners. But reflecting this approach, Siegel successfully amended C-377 to raise the threshold for reporting union expenditures from $5,000 to $100,000, a far less odious requirement. But Harper's approach is to bulldoze through the program of the corporate sector. Hence, the amendment died with the session, but the original bill did not. Another initiative by the Tories that Labour may see would be our worst nightmare come to pass: right to work for less legislation. Well-funded think tanks and lobby groups in the United States, like the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation and the National Institute for Labor Relations Research, spout about freedoms and rights when they talk about the merits of right to work for less, while suppressing the right of workers to organize and improve their lot in life. And the upshot is that wages are lower in the right to work states due to the difficulty in maintaining solidarity when employees can opt out and freeload on their union co-workers. Under right to work for less legislation, the union still has to represent all the people at the plant, including the non-paying members from whom they get no dues. And from our experience in the States, the machinists believe a quarter of union members would stop paying dues, a devastating blow to our ability to represent our members. U.S. states passed right to work for less legislation mainly in the 40s and 50s, but recently Indiana and Michigan joined the club. More states may imitate these formerly industrialized and unionized states in a vain attempt to escape their Rust Belt status. But I would contend no long-term good ever comes from driving down wages. If workers are broke, how can they buy consumer goods, which are the engine of our somewhat fatuous economy? So there may be reasons to agree or disagree with Harper, but from their track record of supporting legislation that attacks union members and their compensation, all I can say is enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Alastair.